think we're good. Babe?
What?
Babe.
What?
I think we're good to go.
Wait, hold on.
Babe,
I'm
stop
doing Sudoku.
We're in a podcast.
Wait, hold on. I just got a 6 in a column. So it's really exciting.
We're in a podcast. Put it down.
I got a 6.
Put it down. Oh, seriously?
Yeah. Babe, it's a brain game, okay? It's supposed to keep me, sharp and everything. We got to do brain games when we get old.
You got a lot of brain games to do.
It's the Jack
and Cathy
show.
Shit show.
And there we go.
Yeah,
okay, I think if yeah.
Okay. Hey, Wordle was hard today.
No, it wasn't.
We broke up over yesterday. Wordle.
We didn't break up over Wordle. You just don't. You don't like. You're so competitive. You are.
I was
competitive? Yeah, you are. I was getting way under your skin.
Yeah. We were in the airport. Jack, up until today, always lovingly saved Wordle for me because he knows I love it. And he would hand his phone to me because I don't have the New York Times app on my phone, and I just eliminated that. But I still love Wordle. So you would hand me your phone. And today I was doing Wordle, and I got through 3 lines of the 5 guesses. 6 guesses we get. And then you did the 4th guess, which I did not agree with at all. And then I was working on the 5th guess and was really struggling, where my brother and sister-in-law and my son all got it in the duration that I was still stuck on my 5th guess. And then what did you say? You'd start complaining about how I messed up your winning streak, right? How I changed your algorithms and messed up your winning streak. You went on and on and on. So who's competitive?
I said 3 times. That's it.
That's it?
3 times.
I think not. So
let's discuss this openly in front of everybody right now.
Yes.
So
we're having an argument in real time.
I am the only one that feels
and we
this.
may not resolve it. We might just call it quits over Wordle. 3 weeks in, 4 weeks in, even shorter than Jennifer, what her name, and Ben Affleck.
They were together for years and then broke up and now been together for years again.
No, they're divorced, babe.
They just got divorced. They were together for years after the second time.
Like a year.
Are we going to fight about this too? God. Let me know when you're finished.
You were very challenging today with Wordle. Very challenging.
You didn't like that I called out an obviousness. That's all.
Okay. All right. Go ahead. What was the obviousness, Jack?
That I had a perfect streak, 0 wrong on Wordle until you got 1 wrong.
Well, then why did you ever save Wordle for me to do if you cared so much about your perfect streak? Why didn't you not continue to work on your own Wordle? Why did you save it for me? Supposedly out of the love of your love for me and making me happy. But now because I broke your Wordle streak and missed it once, I am vilified in front of an audience.
So you're going to get slaughtered over this misrepresentation of details right now, right? So you ruined my streak almost a year ago, and I still gave you the phone to do it. It's just that when we were in front of everybody, if I recall correctly, someone was getting a little snippy. So I was like, no, okay. Well,
I was getting snippy? What was I getting snippy about?
You were.
What was I getting snippy about?
Because everyone else was getting it, you weren't. And then I had done something that you got mad at, and you said, well, because Jack did this thing, now I can't get it.
Yeah, you put a word in the middle of
So see, you're doing
game.
it again. See it? Do you see it? You're doing it again? No, you don't even see it.
So then because I didn't like that you put a word in when I was doing Wordle, You did the fourth guess. You didn't ask me what guess you were going to do. You just put it in. So
Keep going.
because
I'm curious where this is going to go.
Because I'm upset that you did the fourth guess of my Wordle game that you gave me. You feel it's justified to go down the road of complaining about how I ruined your streak.
Yes. Now that we've established that as,
okay.
Did you feel it was right to complain to people about me messing you up? Oh, that doesn't have any merit, though.
Is that what it was?
Well,
so it was retaliation.
Oh, so now retaliation isn't good. So instigation is okay, and then I just have to sit there and take it. Take the punches, be the bigger person.
So you can avoid the real issue and just attack and justify your attack because you felt attacked.
What's avoiding the real issue?
That you just told me that I made you feel bad for.
I told you that in the moment. That's the funny part about this whole discussion. In the moment, I literally said, Cathy doesn't like the way I play it. You're like, no, because he took my thing. And then you did it again. You leaned in. You do have a habit of leaning in. It's like, okay, keep leaning, because then, like you're doing right now, hammer down. I was very nice to you.
I hate the way you argue. I really
because
do.
You don't like losing. That's why. And when I argue, it's when that's not true. I concede to you when I feel you're right.
I concede to you when I feel you're right.
Yes, I do.
And I concede to you when I feel you're right.
And in this moment, neither one of us feel like the other was right. So neither one of us is conceding. And that's the point. We just wasted banter time.
And the word was vinyl, okay? It was really hard. Oh my gosh. But I did open my own Wordle account, so...
I still give it to you anyway, okay? But if you want to compete like your brother and sister do...
I'll do it on my account, and then every time I'll just take your phone and put in the answer.
So you get it one? That's what we should start to do. That's really cute. And you can tell everyone, oh my God, I guessed it again. I guessed it again. Well, thanks for using the banter time to fight publicly in front of everybody. And
hey, you know...
What?
We are hopefully illustrating how you can argue and resolve. Right?
Did we resolve? Because you were still wrong.
We're just skipping it.
Did you hear what I said?
Because you're wrong. We're just skipping it. And you're like, because you're wrong.
Oh, I've got a bad stomach ache, by the way.
Because you just ate a bag of chips and some salsa?
Yeah, but I was hungry and it was good and I probably overdid it.
Maybe. I finally ate those chicken chips from Costco. They had those spicy chips made out of chicken.
Is that what you're eating tonight?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, and I finally finished the bag. So I put myself out of my misery and got that out of the house.
Those are kind of gross.
They were not quite right, but somehow they were spicy, and I like the spicy, so I ate them. And they're high in protein, so I ate them.
Speaking of high in protein.
But now they're gone, and I never want to have them again.
Do you hear what I said?
Speaking of high in protein.
And scene.
Lord, help me.
Are you looking at the camera or are you looking at me, by the way?
I'm looking at you right now.
I'm looking at the camera. Does it look like I'm looking at you, though?
No. Looks like you're looking up a little bit.
Well, because the camera's to my right and up, and it's right in front of you. I think you did that on purpose, too. I think you've set up this whole
Here's
space.
the camera. Here's you.
I think you've set up this whole space to your advantage. I'm just convinced of that.
Babe?
Yeah.
You set up this entire space.
Yeah,
all I do is walk
it.
downstairs.
And then you just move things, tweak. You just tweak. You just tweak little things. And next thing you know, you're front and center. The light's perfect on you. And you're not good at Wordle.
And your point is...
I just want to fight. Let's just fight.
It's our 100th episode, babe.
It's crazy, right?
100. And we're going to break up over it.
You have to admit, this is something that might have caused a fight a while ago.
It's true.
Because we were very cute, I thought. No, maybe? I thought we resolved it well.
I don't think we cared enough about the issue.
No, we care enough about the issue that you brought it up 10 hours later.
Should never do my Wordle game again. I'm petting him right now. If you're only listening, I'm
it's
petting
a
him.
wonderful,
Patronizingly
not at all.
petting.
It's not patronizing at all.
Oh, it's totally patronizing.
If I didn't
meant
love
to be.
you, if I didn't love you
Should I
so
pet
much,
you on your cheek instead?
Bring it. You're such an ass blower. Oh, love you so much.
I love you too. And we just got back from the most wonderful, wonderful wedding in Malibu. My niece Rachel. Oh my goodness. What a bride.
Should I pull a picture up of her?
What a No, I think that's private.
Well,
I don't know.
You're right.
And my gorgeous niece, our gorgeous niece,
it's not
Rachel.
Mine. I have nothing to do with her.
And your family now, sorry. There was an event that happened 4 weeks ago that you were a part of, and you're now stuck with me and my family. And, but yeah, Malibu in a beautiful, beautiful setting. I've never seen a more beautiful setting, called Calamigos Ranch in Malibu. And we approached, they have, I mean, we didn't see nearly anything. We saw a small portion of what this facility has to offer on their grounds. She just had one event space in the place. And as you approach it, these gorgeous old mature street trees, and you walk up the incline and you get to basically a second level that overlooks a bunch of stuff, and the trees, a bunch of
you
stuff.
You are right now being so
trees,
non-descriptive. You walk up this ramp and you get to this thing and then you see this stuff.
Wait. My favorite part was how
I feel like I'm
built...
reading a book with no adjectives.
I know, I'm doing a terrible job.
Terrible.
But my favorite part was this you approach this deck and the tree branches are coming through the deck, and you are literally in the branches, and there's these twinkle lights hanging down in these almost streamer-like, and then there are these gorgeous crystal chandeliers all throughout the trees. And then there's a waterfall.
Yeah.
There was a waterfall with a huge arbor of white flowers and white roses, and the white chairs were all set up there, and that's where the reverend or pastor
performed the ceremony.
Yeah, did the ceremony, and of course they stood. But the whole thing was so picturesque, and they had
and you described
an
it
electric
so well.
Violin,
when we were walking up this ramp
an
with
electric
trees.
Violin. I know.
You
all
walk
right,
up.
So
this,
I'm not a writer.
You walk up this ramp, and there were trees, and you looked, and you were like, "Wow." Oh my God.
Would you like to add and embellish upon my very
it was
description?
If anyone's been to California or Malibu or that area, we were kind of in a valley we were near Westlake and Thousand Oaks. I think that Thousand Oaks is where I think technically this place was. And the sad part was that it had started to rain that day, but when you're in the mountains like that, it's more mist. It's akin to, say, being in Portland or Seattle, where it doesn't really feel like rain because you're just sitting in cloud cover, so it's just very misty. So it had this beautiful mist about it where we weren't getting wet, but it still felt damp. And yet there were these gorgeous, I wish I knew what kind of trees they were, because they not native to where we live. They weren't oak or elm or whatever. They're just beautiful, long, stringy branches that almost had a...
Really? That's the description?
Let me get there.
Long, stringy
I almost got
branches.
there. That almost had resembled bonsai trees. So the branches extended outward and then up, leaving themselves open for ornaments hanging like you would see at a Christmas tree, and those ornaments just happened to be chandeliers.
Mm-hmm. And
so it was just beautiful. And then we get to this, that was where the deck where the wedding was, and then we walked past that, and you could see this overhang. We were on another deck with this it was turf, but it was grass turf, right? Mm-hmm. Where you could overlook another part of the facility. So there was a whole nother area that clearly would have been for other weddings. Unfortunately, we couldn't see the mountains, the mountain tops, because they were covered in the clouds. But then you walked inside, and it was this gorgeous room. They had like 130 people, I think. Mm-hmm. Huge, tall, pointed oak ceilings, and it was just marvelous. It was a gorgeous place, and the wedding itself was beautiful. Rachel and Vache were wonderful.
Yeah,
they looked super happy. Oh, she looks so good. They both looked great.
Yeah, they did.
I like the new trend. I like the new trend that dudes do because I said something to you at the wedding. You remember when I said, did he change his jacket?
Yes.
And so I think my son-in-law Sam did that too, didn't he, or no? Did he always wear white for his wedding? I can't remember.
I thought so, yeah.
But Sam had on a black jacket for the ceremony. Not Sam, Vache had on a black jacket, if I recall, for the ceremony, right? And then switched to a dinner jacket, which I thought was kind of cool. It's pretty neat. So
yeah.
It was an Armenian wedding. Vache's Armenian.
He's Lebanese Armenian.
And their energy was amazing. I wish we had Dennis, your brother, now my brother-in-law, had took videos. Did you know that, of the drummers that came in?
Oh, that's awesome.
These guys came in almost akin to what you would see at a college pep rally where there's like a drum corps group.
Yeah,
right?
It was led by a saxophone player.
That's right, yeah.
And then there were three or four drummers just beating on the drum.
Yeah,
and the
really
DJ
cool.
played
some background stuff.
Yeah,
right?
some background stuff.
Yeah.
And they got everybody. And this is right when the bride and groom were,
Do you want me to cut to a clip
their
of stuff like
entrance.
that, or not really?
You can, but I don't think we should because it might reveal
too much privacy stuff. Okay.
It's not our
Anyway, it was
event
cool.
to share, but
look up traditional Armenian wedding with drums.
Yeah, it was.
Anyway.
It was so
It was marvelous,
happy,
yeah.
and even before you sat down and had a bite to eat, everybody was off their feet. Welcome to the dance floor, and they were playing an Armenian, I believe,
cool.
A song in
Rachel
another language,
was thrown
and
into a
it was
chair,
just
like,
beautiful
with
energy.
Vache,
Yeah,
and lifted up.
They were
very
lifted in
very similar to
chairs.
what you would see at a Jewish wedding. Mm-hmm. And I remember you telling me that Rachel said to you afterward. What did she say?
Well, she was when she was brought down back to the floor in the chair, she leaned over to one of her bridesmaids, and I happened to be right there, and she's like, "Oh my gosh, that was terrifying."
It was really
probably
fun.
thought she was gonna plop out of the chair as it was raised in the air.
It was
but
so much
anyway,
fun.
we've droned down for 20 minutes between our Wordle fight and the beautiful weekend we have. But it was really fantastic.
And then the only thing that we were questioning, so the traffic. Like I don't know any of you who are friends of ours who are.
You kill me.
How the fuck does anyone live there?
Oh my gosh!
And I'm not apologizing for the massive fuck. The traffic was brutal.
Yeah.
Just brutal. It's not all the time.
30
I'm sure.
miles took us 2 hours.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It was
Friday at 2 o'clock we landed. We
gosh.
got in the car at 3. We didn't get there till 10 to 5.
Yeah, it was
insane.
Yeah,
It was truly 38
not my
miles.
favorite. That was not my favorite time. That trip.
Just awful. And then Sunday we met your cousins.
Yeah, that was fun. I have 3
dad's-
Riley cousins in California.
That was so great. I really enjoyed meeting them. They were lovely, wonderful
loved
people.
introducing you.
Yeah,
That
it was
really
great. They all
fun.
want me to change my name to Riley.
Well, duh. Jack Riley.
Do you want me to do that for real?
No.
You don't?
You do whatever you want.
No, but would you like me to do that? Would you like to be one of those
It
wives
doesn't
that
mean
makes me do
it doesn't
things?
mean anything to me. It doesn't have.
You don't care?
No, I don't care. I don't
Okay.
care. But yeah, and then just got home a little while
Just
ago.
got home,
It was
yeah.
a great
Great
weekend.
day, yeah.
I
So
know.
we're recording this on a Monday. It's our 100th episode, which is blowing us away. The sponsors crazy are through the roof after 100 episodes. So we're actually going to be transitioning from our current jobs to doing this full time now, which I'm really excited about. I'm hopeful that someone at Spotify is going to be like, there's someone that's got 100 episodes but only 3 followers. So can we look into this?
Are they wasting airwaves in some way?
I have to believe there's
Are
so
they,
many people that have podcasts that suck just like ours and have made it to 100. You wanted to talk, though, because it's our 100th episode.
Well, tomorrow
Well,
is...
I was just about
okay,
to-
yeah.
No, I love when you interrupt me. It's great.
It's the key to a happy relationship.
Why don't I just ruin my Wordle score, which was 100%. And now isn't. So this is our 100th episode, and we had thought about maybe trying to do a retrospective and look how far we've come and all this other stuff. Well, at the same time, this is Monday night before the big day tomorrow. on the 5th, which is our national elections. And so Cathy said, I got an idea because you're so smart, even when you're hurtful. You said, why don't we talk about dating and politics?
And I'll tell you the reason it came into my brain is because I was talking to somebody about a friend, and I was talking to a family member about a friend of theirs that we've gotten to know very well. And I was like, how's she doing in the dating world? Because she's a sweetheart, and I really do like her. And my family member said something about...
Can you share with me who it is or no?
No, I don't want to name names.
Can you whisper in my ear and no one else will hear? So I know who you're talking about. Okay, we're going to lean back and go. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Go. Oh, yeah.
And my family member mentioned that her friend, it's very important to them that they only date a conservative. She is a huge Trump fan, and that was really important. And I was like, I get it. I totally get it. When I started on the dating app, I thought, oh, I'm an open thinker. I used to vote Republican myself, and I may again, depending on the candidate and the situation or the but I thought I was just an open-minded person. So when I went on the dating apps first, you can check that box. You can say, I want to date somebody that has these political leanings. And I did not check a box, and I just let it be wide open because I thought, you never know, I'm open to meeting somebody. And I love contrasting opinion and someone that might make me think differently, and that's okay, right? And then I saw some of the individuals that were coming up. I'm like, oh my goodness, Democrat.
Yeah, but why? But see, hold on a second. That's not fair. Hold on a second. That's not fair based upon looks. There had to have been something else because they could have looked the same as a Democrat.
Okay, so sometimes, probably, I'm sure there were. First of all, people that check that box, it is important to them. Okay, that's one thing. So if you're checking the box and you are a hard right Republican, conservative Republican, and you check that box, that to me can come out in your profile sometimes, but not all the time. And I believe I noticed that, there were some men that were pictured with their guns, and that is almost always going to be a conservative, right?
Kamala has guns, so does Tim Walz.
I know, absolutely.
I'm going to lean into this on you right now. Did you ever date anyone that was like that then? Did you ever go on a date?
No, but it was also things that they said, like maybe, I can't remember, I didn't save any of the profiles, but, things that they said in their profile as well that I just staunchly thought, oh, this wouldn't work. I couldn't date anybody that thinks that way, because that's so not me. So I understand why people believe that they can only date someone that's in their same political party, especially now. It never used to be this divisive. Never did. Trump brought in a whole different wave of hatred and that I just have never experienced before. So my point is, I understand that.
You understand what?
That how somebody would only date somebody find a partner in their same political leanings.
Prior to meeting you, I went because I was not a big fan of George Herbert Walker Bush's second term. Believe it or not, I didn't like Al Gore. I loved Bill Clinton. Thought Bill Clinton was fucking great. He's the only president that, without using inflationary tactics, balanced the fucking budget and got us. And I don't give a shit if anyone who's listening to this is hardcore conservative. Go look it up. I'm going to get my rants now. F you. Clinton balanced the budget without any incendiary inflation tools at all. Sometimes it's inflation that balances the budget. He didn't do any of that. He balanced the budget. And I didn't like Gore. I felt he wasn't going to be a good leader. I didn't think he was strong. So I voted for Bush 1 or Bush 2, George Bush the second, right? Mm-hmm. Because I actually thought we need some more conservative stuff here. And then the dude instantly goes out of his way and gives up every single dollar we had to give everyone $400 so they could use it for stimulus. And so next thing you know, we're in deficit again. 9/11 happened clearly, and then I did not vote for him against John Kerry. So I have been a very traditional policy person, right? So younger voted for Reagan, older voted for Clinton, on and on. I can keep going on, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. So loved Obama. I'm never going to stop saying that. Thought him and his wife are the classiest two people and smartest two people we've ever had in office. Mm-hmm. I've also been critical of him. I don't think he did enough in certain circumstances, particularly on the topic of healthcare. However, what I will say is that when the Donald came around, it was like, fuck, this guy's nuts, right? And I knew he was going to win. I think I told you that. And so I started dating someone before the election who was a Trump fan. And so that's when on Bumble and Hinge and all these places, you could put down your political leaning. And that was the first time, because it was kind of post George Bush and second era of Obama, right? That was the first time when you would really see this shift in politics. The reason I gave you that entire history, and while I was married during much of it, never once did you ever think of asking someone about their political persuasion, because it was such a limiter, right? Who gives a shit? Mm-hmm. Because you would say, all right, well, you believe a little bit more in less taxes, and maybe I believe a little bit more in social services, but you never saw it as divisive.
No,
ever.
And I believe you should have the right to believe what you want. You know,
yeah, I mean, even if it's stupid and you're being misled. Totally agree with you. Yeah. So the thing that I found interesting too is that when we were growing up, when we were college age, I think I shouldn't say a big reason I became an atheist is when I was in high school, because I just saw all these different religions. So I became agnostic instantly by the time I was a sophomore. Because even though I went to a private school, there were Jewish kids at school and Greek Orthodox and all these different variations. And I went, okay, stop this. Why is the Catholic Church more right than anybody else, right? Where I'm going with that analogy is that I have friends that have, from interracial marriages in my family to mixed religions, friends, Jewish, Greek Orthodox, etc. We never thought about this shit. Maybe our parents did because they were a little old school, right? But us Gen Xers were like, I want to like who I want to like. Who gives a shit? And so they're Jewish. Who cares, right? Our parents might have been more stuck on orthodoxy than us. Mm-hmm. And so it just amazes me now that the politics is so fucking divisive. So that's why I'm telling you, I went out on 4 dates with 4 hardcore Trumpians. And by the way, to anyone that's conservative out there.
Did you know that before you went on the date?
Yeah, because one of my good friends had said to me, I went, I don't know if I can do this, because it's not that they're Republican. It's one thing to have a view that's Republican. What's happening in the Republican Party is not what I grew up in, knowing what Republicans were. Our deficit.
I agree.
Our deficit went through the roof under Trump, through the roof. And my understanding of Republicans when I was growing up was they were hardcore deficit hawks. It was all about the military and the budget and the economy. And under Trump, it only benefited the rich people. That never happened when I was growing up. That's not how it was. It was limited government when I was growing up under Reagan and the Bushes, limited government. What did we have under Trump? Removal. Government stepped in and removed rights like Roe v. Wade. I don't care if you believe in it or not. The government stepped in and took away rights. The government came in and took away rights in as many instances as possible. That's not the Republican Party I know. Okay, so why am I saying all that?
Circle back to the dating.
I'm getting there. A good friend of, well, here's the point. A good friend of mine said, just go out. She seems really nice. You had a nice conversation. I went, but she wrote Trump 2020 or 2016. That's what it was. And I went, there's some radical shit with this dude, and he's not nice to people. And I don't understand if I could be with someone who likes that, right? Like in an intimate relationship. I might be able to be friends with you, hang out, but I get to go home to my house. Went on the date, and it was really pleasant. Then we started talking politics, and she got really incendiary. Called me a socialist. This is before it became popular like it is today. Oh, you're just a socialist, and right? And no matter how many times I tried to argue, it was this odd sense of belonging to a party that represented anger, and I couldn't understand it. Right? And by the way, I am in no way defending progressives, because we've talked about this, or maybe I have with you. Progressive have lost their fucking sense of humor, and everything's critical and everything's brutal, so I get it. So then I went on another date, and I said, I'm going to keep trying, because my friend said, just give it a shot.
Why did your friend say give it a shot? What was
just because you can't let
logic?
Politics divide you, just like you can't let religion divide you. You're not an atheist like I am. That doesn't prevent us from being together. My mom still goes to church. You know what I do with my mom occasionally?
Go to church with her.
Because it's important to her. I don't have to believe that, but that's my mom. I'm going to respect her. The politics stuff is where it kind of blows my mind. It really blows my mind. And I'm sure hardcore MAGA believers blows their mind too. Right? I get Trump's appeal. You're going to be upset at me for saying this. I get some of his appeal sometimes, because guy fucking calls it as it is. And that's relieving to just go fucking A. Call it like it is. And people feel...
But how he calls it like it is not how it is.
That's not true, though.
He just makes it...
No, let me give you the next example. So
you can't spew a lie, and then just because you said it is not calling it like it is.
Well, let me give you an example of a date I went on. And again,
with this person, the one you went on a couple of dates, did you finish that story?
Just 2 dates with her, and I realized every time we got together, that always came up, and it was her trying to. It was truly, believe it or not, with as much as I try to change people's minds, it was her truly trying to convince me over and over again to think about what I was talking about, and my taxes are going to go through the roof, and you make good money, and you want to get hit that way, and. That whatever. So it just got uncomfortable. And then went on a few more dates because I tried. And then my funny experience is I went on this one date with this woman who had really pursued me. And she was, I think I showed you a picture of her one time. You were like, oh yeah, she's hot. I showed you a picture of her. Smoking hot. My friends all saw it and they went, oh, dude. I went, yeah, but look. And it said, Make America Great Again on her profile. And you know what my friend John Horton said, right? You can imagine what John said.
I don't need to.
Just say, go Trump while you're nailing her. That's what John said, right?
Okay, great.
Well, that's what he said. So, my guy friends were trying to go, who cares? Just look at her. And I went, you know what? I'm going to go on a date with her. So we go on a first date, really good, really nice. No politics come up. We're just talking about life, all this other kind of shit. And then this is pre-election time, too. This is all before the election, okay? So it's 2016. 2016? Was it 2020? 2016. That's right. And so we go on a second date, never forget, a sushi restaurant, and we start talking about something. Like I want to say healthcare maybe or something. And I mentioned the Affordable Care Act and how it didn't go far enough. And she leans back in her chair and she goes, you didn't vote for that N Obama, did you?
Yeah,
I told you that story.
I remember that story. Yeah,
okay.
That's the date that dropped the N word.
But here's where I'm going. What I feel Trump helped usher in was her ability to say that, because she would have never probably said that in the past. But she felt comfortable saying it. And I went, you didn't just say that, did you? And she goes, you know what? I'm so tired of the political correctness. And I went, I think that's taking it past political correctness.
Yeah, that's not political correctness. That's not what that is.
Do you realize with all of my MAGA friends, family members, etc., I've never had one conversation about policy. Never one. Never one about China, CHIPS Act, infrastructure bill. Never once. Because it's not about that anymore. It's just cult of personality and in any direction. So that's why I understand the appeal of Trump to some people. But to get back to it, I went, oh my God, I can't do this. So I called up my friend and I said, I don't think you get what it's like out there. This is a dividing topic, and it's emblematic of how angry our country is, which again is ironic because when I grew up in the 80s, the only thing we were afraid of was AIDS, because when I was a junior in college is when the AIDS epidemic broke. And so everyone was terrified. Every dude I knew had at least 4 condoms in their wallet. And I'm not trying to be salacious with this conversation. I'm just trying to be honest, right? Is it okay? Because I know sometimes you don't like that I go down this path. Is it okay that I'm doing this now?
I think so.
So, but you still would just look at a chick and vice versa. Go like, yeah, let's get this going. And you just were kind of having fun. And you never, if I dated someone who was of a different religion, it was more, how are we going to tell our parents that you're Catholic and I'm Jewish, right? Or how are we going to tell your parents that I'm agnostic? And then you kind of work through that. But now it's almost one of the first questions my mom and my dad, when he was alive, would say.
Yeah.
And that's why I knew who you're talking about. I think it's sad that our country has become so divisive, that our politics become so important to us, that that we rest ourselves on it now. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Am I going? Like, I don't know how anyone could date nowadays without talking about it.
Well, and that's my point, really. Well, not just talking about it, but how anyone from differing parties or opinions could date each other now. It really has driven in this culture of hate and venom that is so sad. And it's that we can't have arguments and disagreements and then still go out for a beer. That it's got to be, truly families are breaking up over this stuff. And I refuse to talk about it with family members because I don't want to put that before my relationship with them.
Well, I read this great article, and when we were at the airport, it was on, I forget what news thing I was reading it on, but it was about this family that their son is now 40, but at 23 years old, the father was worried about his web usage because he was afraid that he wasn't spying on his kid because he was concerned what his kid was doing, but he went to go make sure his kid's history was okay, because that's when, it's going back to the 80s, early 90s, or whatever, when internet stuff came out, 90s. He was just concerned about phishing, PHI, that phishing, right?
Yes, yeah.
And that his son might be getting set up for scams. So he just wanted to look at his history and saw his son looking at gay porn. And so he confronted his kid, and then the parents didn't talk to the kid for 10 years because they were evangelical Christians and hardcore Republican country that said there's something wrong. They tried to send him to conversion therapy, and the kid is now 40. The parents have solved the relationship, but in the process of solving the relationship with their kid, they were forced to choose between God and their child, and they chose God because their community said you should do that. And that's the same. They were talking about how they feel that that's what's happening now in this country. That's the whole part. That they've learned to see that you can disagree, but that doesn't mean you're different.
Right.
So I think it's a shame because I'll admit it, I lived it, and they weren't discussions with these dates I went on.
No.
Am I talking too much, babe?
You're talking a lot, but
okay.
I know it's a passionate, you are very impassioned on this topic. So I took you down the political road. I tend to be more conservative in my conversation in this venue of the podcast.
What I'm trying to say is I can understand why each side, I understand why young white men think Trump is the bomb, because they've been marginalized. They've been pushed out at the success of women. And unfortunately, the success of women, which was right and earned and yay women all the way, I feel about that, also came at a cost to men. And so that's not right either, right? Everyone should be lifted up. So I totally get why young men love listening to Trump say, fuck that and bullshit, and why guys like Andrew Tate are popular. So I gotta believe dating right now is borderline impossible. That it's almost like if the one woman
You mean dating outside your political party?
I just mean in general, because one of the things a woman said to me who used the N-word with me, referring to Obama, was she said, you know what, I really want to love Chicago. She wasn't from here. She was from New York originally. She said, I left New York because it was so fucking liberal, her words. And I came to Chicago thinking there might be some conservative bastions here, right? And she said, even this city's so fucking blue, it drives me crazy. I have to believe that we live in this world of dating now where the person you're talking about might not find success in Milwaukee, but might find success in Ripon. Mm-hmm. And does that mean now you got to uproot yourself to go live? You know what I'm getting at? Like,
I'm sure there are some people who like that date that said, I got to get out of here. These aren't my people. I can't, especially if you're looking for somebody to if you're looking for a partner and the pool doesn't have the right red or blue color or tint to it.
You know
right?
what's so sad to me is that I'm going to put it to you this way. I'm so sick of talking about Trump. I really am. I'm so fucking sick of it. Mm-hmm. And he's dominated the airwaves since Obama ran for office. And it's just, after a while, it just gets annoying.
Tomorrow's a big day.
Yeah.
And
so
everything's going to change tomorrow at the end of the day.
Here's why I say it relative to your point about dating, is that this is like the number one topic we have to talk about. And it's so sad.
Well, I wanted to bring it up in the context of dating specifically, but obviously that's just a very myopic snapshot of a very broad issue and how we got here, right? And how things have changed over time. And it's hard to imagine it going back. And what I mean by that is we are so angry and divisive now. There used to be, a time where you could sit with somebody with differing viewpoints and have a civil discussion. And now that doesn't seem possible anymore. And certainly I know I avoid it. I don't want to ruin relationships, and I'm sure people dance around it with me too.
Well, that's why I'm saying I think it's funny that we've now boiled down dating to, are you on the left or are you on the right? Mm-hmm. And relationships. So dating or whatever relationships there are, right? Mm-hmm. It's sad. It's sad that that's become something we all feel we need to die on the sword about. When you know what I mean? I'm reading this to kind of compare this. I know you may not believe this, but I'm reading this fantastic book. You see me reading it on my phone all the time. Mm. It's about Lincoln and the 40 days it takes
Project?
him.
No, not the Lincoln Project. Sorry, that's a
Democratic
social media
think tank.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's about Lincoln after he won the presidency, which was interesting because when he won, there were 4 parties that were running at the same time. Believe it or not, everyone thinks of Republican and Democrat and blah, blah, blah. But there was the Whig Party, and I forget what the other one was, some small outfit that tried to create a party, but he only won 30% of the popular vote. And that was after I think you had to win like over 35% to be considered elected. I can't remember the details. But it tells the story of him taking 40 days to have to travel from Illinois to D.C., train lines were slow. He wanted to stop across the city along the way and all the things that were happening then. South Carolina seceded from the Union before he started. Didn't even know that. I don't know if you did. Mm-mm. So it was obviously leading up to the Civil War. And all of the discussions that I'm reading, I'm going, oh my God. It's today.
Like history repeats itself.
Yeah, and the guy didn't write the book with the intent of comparing it to today because the book is 8 years old.
I was going to say the book is older,
right? The book is much older before a lot of this stuff came to play. Mm-hmm. And I didn't read it searching out some sort of comparative to today's politics. It was referred to me because I read another book about Lincoln. So it was one of those, you might like this book. Mm-hmm. And as I'm reading it, talking about the threats to everyone's life, talking about how there truly was this massive divide in in the country where families were torn apart, it feels so similar. And that's scary to me, right? That
Agreed.
We have that much hate going on here.
Oh, I know.
And you
Makes
don't
me
feel
very
that
sad.
in Europe, you know? So,
No, I mean, we've made a few trips to other parts of the world in this past year.
I just feel when it comes to dating. Sorry, I took my eyes.
Yes,
off
you
for a
did.
second.
And
thought
I
there
was starting to
Go,
talk
tell you
about
something.
something and you
Go.
read
Sorry,
your phone.
go.
No, I was going to say that we have traveled to other parts of the world in this past year, and we have not solicited this response in any way, but we have asked people, what do you think of what's going on in America right now? And they don't know where we come from in terms of our
beliefs or
politics and
stance, yeah.
beliefs and stance on different issues. And unequivocally, hands down, every person has said, you guys are ridiculous.
You guys look nuts.
It looks like the wheels have come off of your country.
Yeah.
And I will say, none of them get Trump. None of them get Trump. The people we talked to in England compared them to Boris, what's his name? They had a prime minister, Boris.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah, he was, they were like, you got your Boris, where they just shake their heads and wonder how this guy ever got a microphone, ever.
And these are, I know people are going to think that we're leaning into something. I was trying to, the reason.
How can you help but not
because of this isn't confirmation bias, I promise you that. Because we would just have conversations with people and they'd say,
we wouldn't tell them anything.
We're talking to bartenders and other folks we met. By the way, side note, that's what I do love about our relationship and you in particular. Is that weird to tell you that right now?
Well, tell me what? What are you going to say?
How when we go on trips, we meet other people and we talk, and I just think it's kind of cool how we talk to folks. That's all. It's just neat. It's a neat dynamic between us that we like meeting new people and striking up conversations. And I know anyone that listens to this is going to think we're making it up and it's confirmation bias, but we, to your point, truly did not tell people we feel this way. They'd say, America, oh, how you feeling over there? We'd say, well, that's why we travel here and we love our country. We kept saying neutral, and then they'd go, you'd ask a question and they'd say, you guys are fucking wackadoodle. They don't view us as the strong beacon on the hill anymore.
Goodness, no. Yeah, internationally we are not how do I want to say
received.
We don't look good.
No, just overall
we do not look good.
When we were in New Zealand.
And I think that makes us vulnerable, quite frankly. I think it really makes us vulnerable.
It does.
And
well, and to swing back to what the topic was about dating, that's what's really sad.
Yeah.
I mean, you're missing out on. We're so dug in, and it's really, really sad to me.
Yeah.
Could you imagine dating right now?
No.
I mean, with those circumstances.
No. Well, I mean, I felt like those were the circumstances as well when we met. But I had, like I said on my dating app, I was like, I don't like this pool of people that I'm seeing pop up on this app. This isn't me. This is not me. And when I switched it to a political preference, I was like, okay, this is definitely better. I can see a difference. I can feel a difference. I can, in the words they write, I can feel a difference. And I didn't know of what political leaning you were. I don't remember you checking that box. I don't know. Did you?
I did.
You must have in order to come up.
I had to, because there were actually 4 boxes, if I recall. So it would say Republican, Democrat, moderate, like more neutral, or don't want to respond.
Yeah.
Right?
Don't care.
Don't care, right? But I found that when I put moderate down, which I believe I know it doesn't sound like it, being anti-Trump doesn't make me not moderate. Fair?
Yeah, absolutely.
I think you and I are similar.
And I think he's proven that being anti-Trump Trump doesn't mean you're liberal or a Democrat either. It can mean that you're a Republican.
That's right.
You just don't like your candidate right now. You don't like your choice.
Yeah. So I know I selected moderate because I remember saying, well, that's really who I am. I like my money. I don't like a lot of taxes. I don't often, we can go down this path, right? I think government needs to be more efficient. That's a very old Republican way of thinking. I also believe in safety nets and social services for people that are underprivileged. That's a very liberal way of thinking. So I'm far more moderate, as I think most people are. But man, I put moderate down. And what I found common was that women really questioned my masculinity quite a bit too. They really did. They looked at me and said,
"Women,
are you a
or conservative women?
Conservative women. Conservative women
yeah.
called me a snowflake because I believed in certain things. Like my masculinity was challenged because I believed in social services, and that's the first time I'd ever heard that before.
I found you to be more in line. Clearly, I married you. More in line with the man that I wanted, where you are, I've talked about this before, that I loved how you showed strength and also vulnerability. I think that's
not an attractive quality now in this group of men. You know that, right?
Oh gosh, I just don't get that. I think
we just listened to a guy's thing on Threads. You heard that, right? That you saw me listen to this while we were waiting for the computer to boot up and everything. And the guy in Threads was like, he has his own podcast. I forget his name. It's all about the alpha male stuff. And it happens to come up on my feed every once in a while, where he said, if I had a buddy come up to me and say, hey, dude, I just want to let you know you mean a lot to me and I love you a ton. The guy said, I'd look at him and go, yeah.
Did you watch the game yesterday?
Did you watch the game yesterday? Because dudes don't talk that way. I don't understand that at all. I don't. I'm not going to stop talking like that. It doesn't make me any less masculine. Anyway, I just I feel bad for people dating right now. And do you have any advice on what to do?
I think for now it's safer in the swim in your own pool right now. Is what I think it's safer to do. I don't see that changing for quite some time. It's hard to imagine us going back to a time where we could, be of different parties and yet still get along. It's hard to imagine that right now in this culture. So for now, I say go swim in your own pool. Don't check that box if you want to find like-minded people. I get why it's important. I can't imagine if you would have been a Trump supporter, I definitely would not have dated you. Absolutely.
What if after a month, because it never came up, what if after
we didn't talk about it right away. It wasn't a topic that was...
I presumed, because you wouldn't have found me if it said...
Oh, that's true.
Mine was Democrat,
yeah.
so I had to
Well,
lean into that.
I could have left it open.
That's right.
I could have left it
me.
open,
Correct.
and I would have maybe dated, any party of political leaning. So you didn't necessarily know. But, so I definitely feel confident that I would not have dated you if that was...
And by the way, I think you'll agree with me. We both recognize that if politics is important to you, like if religion is really important to you. I dated this one woman. Clearly, I went on a lot of dates now. It's coming out. This is before I met you.
That's all over now, right?
What's all over? Oh, baby.
All that dating.
Baby, trust me. Never want to be away from you at all, ever. I have a hard time functioning when you're in a different room. I love you, and you know that.
I do.
I went on a date with this woman who was a bass player in a band, super talented, very smart. On our second date, she said, Jesus and the Christian church is really important to me. Where do you stand? And so I told her I'm an atheist, and however I will support you. And we went on one more date, and then she goes, I can't envision being with someone who doesn't share my same faith.
Yeah,
so
fair.
I get that, and I get that related. If politics is that strong for you, Like I guess my question is, what about the politics is that strong for you? Like what? Because if it's meanness, that means something to you, right? Like if men are snowflakes because they cry, come on, really? Right? Those are the types of, what I'm concerned about is people's choice for a partner with politics as the front runner, is that it's not about policy. It's about character. And so if a man is attractive because he's alpha male under a Trump and he's mean and he's incendiary, if that's attractive, that scares me.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
He's a bully and he's name calling, not even talking about issues or making a stance based on facts.
People are calling Tim Walz a puss because of how he behaves. And this is a guy who
you know what? Tim Walz doesn't give a shit.
Yeah, but it's
he
unfortunate
knows
that
who he is as a man, as a human.
Yeah, they're just not. Scott Galloway said it best, where he said Tim Walz, or it's Tim, right? Did I say it? Tim, right?
Tim Walz.
It's got Scott's name in my head. Mm-hmm. He said Tim Walz is the type of guy that if he sees your car pulled over, not only does he stop to help, but he knows how to fix it.
Right.
Like he has that kind of quality.
Right.
And if that's what women don't want because there's a Harris sticker on someone's front yard, that scares me. Mm-hmm. Right? Because what's the alternative? Drive past the car, fuck them?
Doesn't it go both ways, though? Someone driving past a Trump sign and would be like, no way. I'm just saying. Well,
babe, this is what kills me. I became friends with 3 guys when I moved to Arizona. So I moved to Arizona, as you know, for a short time, right when we met the first time. Mm-hmm. And I don't care what everybody says about it being purple. It was hardcore fucking conservative everywhere I went. And so much so that I came from Illinois where you were wearing masks everywhere. And then I get to Arizona, no one's wearing them. But I was so attuned to putting them on when I went into a store that everyone looked at me like I had 4 heads, right? Or better yet, everyone looked at me like I had a mask on. Mm-hmm. And so I ended up befriending this guy who said, you must be from the Midwest. And I said, I am. And I'm getting used to being out here. And so we had this great conversation. Next thing I hang out with him and his friends. And they're all hard. This is before 2016. But I became friends with these guys. And then I told you I mountain biked with other people. And there were some incendiary things, but overall they liked beer and we loved mountain biking. And we talked about how women turn us on. And, I just feel we have a lot more in common than we don't. And it's sad.
Yeah, that we can't spend any time dwelling on the things we have in common or sharing in the things we have in common, because that divide when talking about politics comes up so quickly, and the gaping hole between the two people becomes so wide in an instant.
Yeah, it's just, I will tell you, I tried going on dates. Mm-hmm. And maybe the ones I ran into were just the wrong ones, right? Mm-hmm. Clearly. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I made friends in Arizona. I didn't find one person that was liberal that I hung out with in Arizona.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what the Republican Party looks like after Trump is out of the picture, because someday that will happen, right?
Yeah.
And it's almost like it needs to be rinsed out. And
I just think coming back full circle, it's sad to me. Mm-hmm. You and I experienced it because we were at the early part of that dynamic, and it's such a factor nowadays that I'm glad you brought it up as a topic in the spirit of the election that's coming up, that it's just having a profound effect on dating life. And I'll post on our site. There's a podcast I listened to today. I think I told you about it, that I was listening on the plane, that talks about kind of this dynamic. I just want to try to find it real quick, Kath, the name of it, because I was listening to it. Diary of a CEO with Stephen Bartlett. Really good episode with Scott Galloway. It's an hour and 50 minutes. So
Oh
it's,
my
it's a long
gosh.
one.
Wow.
But I think it really well articulates. Scott does a nice job being very balanced and articulating the challenges of both parties, the challenges of young men, the challenges of young women. And I know some of the people you're talking about are older women. So there's a different dynamic with that. But, there's this massive divide. Scott brings it up perfectly. If women's bodily autonomy is going to be taken away from them, please do not get into a fight about shit, about pro-life, pro-choice. But if a woman's bodily autonomy is going to be taken away from her, and then she's being forced to carry baby, she's going to think twice about any man she starts to date. So what does that mean? Men's dating chances go down the fucking drain. Because unless you really hit a certain level, and what does that mean? Men are going to get more depressed because they can't go out with women. And they're going to resort to being more, what's the word? Sheltered or sheltered in place.
Yeah, the women are put in a much higher, they are in a more vulnerable position.
That's right. And it's just a race to the
because they
bottom.
can't control what might happen to their own body.
Correct. And so men then are going to suffer from it. And now where are we? Oh,
that's heavy shit, babe.
We're so lucky, the two of us. 100
know.
episodes in. We're so
Now we just
lucky.
argue over Wordle.
Well, you were wrong. You were mean to me, and you don't accept the fact that you're mean. I love you so much. I'm glad you wanted to talk about this. Thanks for letting me talk too much.
Yeah, babe.
You're the best.
Okay.
Me first, you first.
You go first.
Okay, I'll go first. Let me put my glasses on. All right. So what we like to do every week, we end the podcast with question cards from the Skin Deep. We are going to be doing some sort of promotion with them. I'm hoping by the end of this year. I've been in communiques with them, so you'll soon see that. Highly recommend go check out the Skin Deep at YouTube, and we'll put some links on our podcast when we post it. So anyway, okay, this is a question to you. Ready?
Okay.
I like this one a lot.
Okay.
Here we go. So anyway, we ask questions of one another to continue to learn about one another. What do you think will become important in my life that I'm unaware of now?
You know, that's really interesting because at 58, I think we're starting to become aware of some of those things that would be put on the list. And that what I mean by that is our health.
Yeah.
If we were reading that card and we were 27 years old, we'd probably be like, oh man, I don't know, family.
Right.
I mean, but now that we are 58 and answering a question like that, I actually think we are paying attention to those things.
Yeah.
Our health and all that encompasses that, the foods we choose to eat now are so much more important, and I would argue they always should be, right? But sometimes you have to mature before you recognize that and take control of that. But our mobility, our ability to be active and to keep moving, because you can have nothing else in this life if you don't have your health and staying as vital as you can. You aren't picking up your grandchildren.
Yeah.
You're not taking vacations with them.
Yeah.
You're not, whatever. Just put it on the list. You aren't buying a boat if that's on your wish list. You're not traveling with your partner now that you've retired. Your health is the most important thing.
Yeah.
So anyway, I really can't think of anything else that you would find. I think you already know that. We already know that. We discussed that.
I would argue too, it's what we just talked about, that if we're at the tail end of this life. That's reality. We're at the tail end of the life.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it doesn't mean we don't have a lot of life to live, but we're at the tail end of it. We've spent most of our time on the earth that we're going to spend.
And I think we're also gratitude is something that
That's where I was going to go.
Yeah.
That these talks of politics and everything, it's so sad.
Yeah.
That we're getting so
what's
caught
that
up
gonna
in this
get
kind
ya?
of shit that 10 years from now, I mean, it's just terrible
Yeah.
to think about it. So
Just believe what you want to believe. Let everybody else believe what they want to believe. And make your choices based on the facts at hand, and don't vilify each other for those choices.
I think you're leaving something off the table. You can always believe what you want to believe. There's just anger now because you're telling someone else that what they believe is stupid.
Of course.
That's the part that's changed.
Yeah.
That's the part that's become incendiary.
Yeah.
Okay, so go ahead. Your turn.
All right. So, what do you know is absolutely true about you?
I don't want another question about me.
Too bad. That's the card, baby cakes.
Oh, man, I don't like that.
I like it.
Can you answer it?
What do you know is absolute? Why? Because you can't think of anything?
I don't like answering it.
Why?
I don't know. It feels weird to me.
Does it feel like you're bragging about yourself in some way?
No, I didn't think of it that way.
Then
what's absolutely true about me, I think I'm really self-aware.
This is true. You call that your superpower.
I think I'm very, very self-aware. I think I have incredible passion for things. I feel I'm a very good listener. Negative parts of me, I can be a little pessimistic at times. I can be not always half full. So I'm not always that way. I can definitely be impatient. I don't know. Am I answering it correctly?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I don't like that. I want a question for you, though.
Well, I would add to that, too. Early on when I met you, I really felt that you had a very clear sense of right and wrong. And I loved that about you. And I would say you had a strong moral compass. And I think a lot of people assume morality comes from religion, a religious foundation. I would argue that you just know right and wrong, like regardless of how you were raised in a religious environment or not. And I loved your moral compass, and you stood up for that right and that wrong. And of course, I agreed with you too, so that doesn't hurt. But I love that because you would sometimes shake some trees or make some other people uncomfortable, And I felt like that was something that's absolutely true about you.
My favorite saying, truly, to the kids when they were little, and I love saying this anyway because I do it at work sometimes, is do better, be better. If you do better, you will be better. So I appreciate you saying that. Can we just have one question for you?
Oh, sure.
Please. I want a question that's about you.
Okay. Are you reading it to me?
No, you read it.
Well, then...
it's about you. That's how we do this, right? Yeah.
What do you think I doubt the most, which I should not?
Oh, so many things. Oh, my God. We just talked about it when we were upstairs. I think you doubt your intellect.
Okay.
Agreed?
Yes.
I think you doubt your voice.
For sure. Jack wants me to sing more, and I'm like, seriously?
Oh, it's funny. That's not the voice I was talking about. I was talking about the metaphorical one. But I'm going to add that to the list, too.
That's funny.
Because your singing voice is fucking incredible. You doubt that.
It's not.
Even when you try to pretend that it's not good, it's really good. You and me on stage would be tremendous because here's the deal. My songs are good.
Is that
they
what
would look at you.
nightmares look like?
Oh, hold on. They would look at you, ching, and then they would hear you sing like cha-ching.
I married the right man.
And I also think I think your voice needs to be stronger because you have strong opinions. You lack confidence to express your point of view sometimes. And you're not sure how to do it. And that gets your brain all fuzzy and you're like, blah, 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 and next thing you know, you're frozen.
That's true.
And I'm here to tell you that I support every part of you. Your voice, your singing voice, your intellect. I even told you, I said, you're a lot smarter than I think you realize you are. I said that to you tonight.
Thank you, babe.
I think the world of you.
Thank you, babe.
Do we have anything else to say?
No, I think an hour and 10 minutes of this rambling is enough.
I love being with you.
I love being with you too, babe.
Someone said that we should change the podcast. Your brother-in-law, now my brother-in-law, Andrew, said we should change the podcast instead of the Jack and Cathy shit show, because it was that when we first dated, to now we're doing it better than anybody else. And I'm like, yeah, people are going to listen to that. Andy. Jack and Cathy crushing it.
Is he in marketing?
Oh, right.
What? So good.
I'm glad we fought about Wordle to start this thing.
Yeah. Well, now we can do what my brother and sister-in-law
into
do.
A competition
we
with
will
you.
compete, and
It's the worst.
it is not. It is about Wordle. Okay. Here's a question for everybody in the audience who does Wordle. Is it based on just completing it, or in how many guesses you completed in? Because Jack and I differ on that. Jack says it doesn't matter how many guesses I got. I will take all 6. I'm not strategizing so I can. Correct? You aren't strategizing so that you can get it in the fewest guesses.
Yeah, because to get it in one is purely luck. There's no strategy to it. Don't tell me there is. It's pure luck.
I know.
So,
I'm not arguing that.
Okay. So then why would
for?
that? Okay. So would you kindly allow me to finish that?
Well, you came out of the gates hot on that one.
Came out a lot.
Excuse me.
I'll breathe. If the goal was to get it in as few as possible, meaning the goal, not that they don't track it or tell you how many it took you, but the goal was to get it in as few as possible, it wouldn't be based upon luck. Meaning it would be more like Wheel of Fortune, where you'd see a bunch of letters and you got to try to figure what it is in one guess without adding any letters to it.
I don't think that logic is foolproof.
Because you can't get it in one without luck.
Fine. So occasionally you get it in one, and you just
invariably most people get it in 3
moment.
and 4 because you need 2 to kind of settle things in. So 2 is just means you're a better guesser, but it doesn't take luck out. You're just a better guesser.
Okay.
So I tend to play it in a way that says I'm going to make sure I never ever get it wrong. Because if you look at the top, it says % correct.
Well, to be sure, nobody that's trying to get it in fewer guesses is ever trying to get it wrong.
I'm not saying they are. But I'm not going to sacrifice the number of guesses if it takes me 6 every single time.
Sacrifice the number of guesses. That's not logical to me, and let me tell you why. Because you are correct that if you get it on the very first word, that was just dumb luck because you had no information. You just grabbed a word and bam, you hit that lottery and won it. But from that point on, you are trying to use logic and reason and your database of words and your database of having done Wordle for a couple of years now and how they work. And you are trying to guess correctly from there on out. You're not, and this is where, and I'm going to bring up your guess today because this is how I think it illustrates how we're different. You were sacrificing one of the guesses because you were trying to rule something out or get some information. And I am not trying to sacrifice a turn for it because I'm trying to get it in the fewest guesses. So my point is that we are both trying to use logic and reason and the database of information we have in our previous guesses.
But your goal is to get it in as few as possible. Mine is to have 0 wrong, and I had 0.
But I'm still trying to not get it wrong,
I get it.
Jack.
No, I'm not saying you're not. Hold on. You keep, what we're doing in this discussion is you keep thinking it's binary. What I'm trying to say to you is that if at the top they gave you if at the top they said to you, this is where you rank in terms of finding out the answers sooner, great. But at the very top, it says how many times you've played the game, how many times you got it wrong. And I had a 0 up there for 250 games. 0. Never got it wrong. because I didn't care if I sacrificed lines because I wanted to see was the Y in the second or the fourth position. So I'd answer it the way they go, okay, there it is. And it would just, the answer would be then obvious. So yes, I just care about wins or losses. I couldn't care less if it takes me 6 tries every single time. And if you think after this discussion that now I'm going to wake up in the morning and see who gets it done faster, like your brother and sister-in-law do, or now my in-laws do, never going to happen. I am not competing with you on this.
Well, I am.
Oh my God.
So if I get it in 3 and you get it in 6, we know who won. Okay, peace. Bye.
That's not what they do. They see who does it. Get back here. They see who does it.
They do time.
They see who gets it done faster.
Yeah. Yep.
Is that going to be us now? I'm not doing
Maybe.
it. I'm not doing it.
Okay, that's fine.
I'm not going to race you on Wordle.
That's fine. But I'll still tell you how many turns it took me.
And I'll still give you my phone so you can do it because I'm going to sacrifice it.
I don't want your phone because I have my own account now.
You're mean. And everyone knows you are. And that doesn't emasculate me or make me fucking weak. It makes me human, you meanie.
I love you.
I can't believe we got into an argument for 10 minutes about fucking Wordle.
I'm going to set the alarm for 12:01 so I can wake up and do tomorrow's Wordle. I'll be exhausted the entire next day because I had to wake up to do Wordle.
I love you so much.
I love you too.
On that note,
peace. You just listened to another episode of the Jack and Cathy Shit Show. All recording, engineering, and production provided by us. Connect with the podcast on Instagram at Jack and Cathy Shit Show for more insight into our shit show of a life. This episode is proudly brought to you by Pint Productions.
Point.